A motion to come out of executive session. Motion by Commissioner Satterfield. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And we are out of executive session. I want to welcome all of you to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, January 16th, 2020. We do appreciate all of your attendance. We'll start out with a roll call. We're all here except for Commissioner Nix, and at this time I would ask that you remember her and her family. They're dealing with a medical issue, and so when you're saying your prayers, that you would say one for her and her family, because they desperately do need that, and we would appreciate that. This time I'd ask you to please stand for an invocation and a pledge. Pray. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day. We thank you for the many blessings of life. We thank you for this community, and we thank you for its people. Lord, we ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the blessings, carry out the business of this community. And Lord, we ask that you would touch Commissioner Nix tonight and her family as they go through this illness, and provide healing, Lord, that only you can. And all these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Do we have any announcements? Any announcements? Monday.
We won't have one the 30th.
Yeah, there won't be, this will be the last meeting of this month, because this is a 5 Thursday month. And also I'll remind you that the government offices will be closed next Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Any other announcements? We'll move on to approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on December 19th, 2019. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on December 19th, 2019. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 3-0. Next, we have the minutes of the special call joint meeting that we had with the city held on January 14th, 2020. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. All right. And that's approved 3-0. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. I do have one change to the agenda. It will be under new business. That will be RFP 360-19 legal services. I'll entertain a motion with that one change.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0 with the one change. Anyone signed up for public comment in this section? Okay, we'll move on to zoning. Here are the rules by which we will follow in the zoning process. First, we will hear from the planning director who will present the application and recommendation of the planning commission. Then we'll hear from the applicant. Then I'll open the hearing. We'll hear from those who are in favor of the application. Then we'll hear from those who are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give us your name and address, which is there at the podium. And also, if you donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so, which I have here with me at the front. So, first up, we have ZA 1923, Tim Steyer's request to rezone 10.5 acres of property located at Harmony Church Road, tax map parcel 119-033 from RA Residential Agriculture to RSR Residential Sub-Rural. James.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, ZA 1923, Tim Stowers is seeking to rezone his parents' property totaling approximately 10.5 acres, located on the northwest corner of Harmony Church Road and Price Road. Currently, it's RA zoning, looking to rezone to RSR for the purpose of dividing it amongst the heirs. The application was heard by the Planning Commission in December, and no opposition, and was unanimously recommended for approval. This property also meets the future land use comprehensive plan. I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for James? We may have some later, thank you. Is the applicant present? Come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Just one moment.
Okay.
Sirs, basically what I want to do is complete, I'm the executive for my mom and dad's estate, and I'm trying to liquidate the property to all heirs. I tried to do that and found out that just before I did it, the rule had changed where you had to have at least 5 acres with RA in order to split it. Well, there's too many heirs to give anybody 5 acres, so it's going to be a little less than that. So I was advised that I needed to change it to SRS, and that's where we're at today. I need to change it to SRS so I can then give it to all the heirs and take that burden of debt out of my hands.
Questions of the applicant? We may have some later, thank you. All right. At this time, I'll open up this hearing on ZA 1923. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve ZA 1923.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield to approve ZA 1923.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
I would like to ask Jameson, I
Yes, ma'am.
noticed it is, the surrounding properties, and what is conservatory use? Is that the same thing as conservation?
Okay, so you're referring to the application by the applicant?
Yes,
Yeah, conservation really just.
it says conservatory.
It's residential agriculture, I believe it's just in conservation.
It means the same thing as conservation.
Is that a new term we've got?
It's not, it's what the applicant put on the application.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
Other questions? We have a motion and a second. Thank you, James. A motion and a second for approval of ZA 1923. No further discussion, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. Next up, we have ZA 1924, Michelle Tabor, request to rezone 2.67 acres of property located at Frank Bruce Road, tax map parcel 092071 from RA Residential to RSR Residential Sub-Rural. Jameson.
Yes, sir. As she said, Michelle Tabor, she's looking to rezone the 2.67 acres on Frank Bruce Road to RA to RSR for the purpose of dividing the parcel and building an additional residence. This was also heard by the Planning Commission in December with no opposition, and they also voted unanimously to recommend approval of this rezone. This rezoning does also mean that the land use map that calls for RSR in that area.
Questions for James? Thank you.
Is this, excuse me, Chairman. Is the surrounding property, is some of that already rezoned, or is it, what's,
I believe it is.
okay.
Actually, I stand corrected. It was on the last one. The surrounding property is RA in this area.
The future land use map has this as RSR.
It does have this RSR.
And I believe I mean, I know where that's at, there's some of that in that area where
There's some
families, I mean, they're not all large tracts.
Yes, they're not all large tracts and they're kind of scattered throughout, but there are some RSR that is in that area, yes.
Yeah.
Other questions for Jameson? Thank you, sir. May have some more later. Is the applicant present? Come up, tell us what you'd like to do. Sign, please. Yes.
All right, we're looking to rezone.
Can you give us your name?
Yes, Nick Tabor.
Okay.
Michelle's my wife. And we are looking to rezone 947 Frank Bruce Road into the two separate lots. And directly across the street to answer, there are 3 different lots that are on 1 acre or just slightly more than an acre. From what I understand from similar processes. So we're just looking to build another home next to it.
Questions for the applicant?
So it's you building, you've already got one home there, one house there,
Yeah.
and you're wanting to do another.
Building a house next door.
Is that to sell, or got family that's gonna live in it, or?
My family just moved in around the corner, but right now we have, the one is a rental and this would be a rental as well.
A new house is a rental?
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions of the applicant? You may have some more in a minute. Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll open up this hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Last chance. Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve ZA 19-24.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines for approval of ZA 1924. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. We'll move on into unfinished business. First up, we have consideration of 2019 salary study that was tabled from December 19th, 2019 voting session. Other information needed by the board. You remember we had 3 options, 100% option, 105% option, and 110% option. We had much discussion on all 3 of those options. And Dr. Long, his staff, provided us with many different scenarios in reference to that. Is there other information you would need from our consultant or from our HR director?
Can we verify the new number on the 100%, please? And the 100% with the 2%, that option. I guess that's the one that, the other sheet that you
This
had.
one.
That was without FICA, that was without
So that
taxes,
number is,
benefits, and
the 2% with the 100% option is $762,590, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, and then Ms. Vicky provided us with
all
an
the-
option of, that has the FICA in it as well, and that number is 836,000.
So that's the actual cost.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's with FICA, yes.
And that is less than what we were initially told, is it not?
Yes.
Like
We
nine-
started out with 900 and something thousand,
Yeah.
and basically, we went back through and shored up all the different promotion dates to make sure that they were correct. Instead of just
Okay, and
100.
this will get people to minimum.
It will get people to minimum and it will apply an equity adjustment to place them within the correct range, of the correct placement in the range based on the number of days that they've been in that job. And that will bring you to the midpoint of your market.
But it also provides 2% for everybody
Yes.
across the board, first
Sorry,
and
yes,
foremost.
flat 2%.
So everybody gets a 2%.
The 2% would be applied first,
Yeah.
and then if there was still an adjustment needed to bring folks to the minimum,
Right.
that's the cost there. And then the cost to bring folks to that position within the range.
That would still be the 836,000.
Yes, ma'am. That's with the FICA and everything, yeah, all of them get the FICA associated with it. Other information needed? Thank you, gentlemen. Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 100% to market with the 2% across the board first for everybody. An amount of $836,000. I would like to also, in that motion, for HR to bring it back to us in June to look at the 105%. Once we get all our books and see what we spent out this year and what we got left over. And make that effective date of January 25th, 2020.
Motion for Commissioner Satterfield, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines, discussion.
Yeah,
Where's it? Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I like the idea of getting to the level where we're at a base and then regrouping and seeing where we're at mid-year. And then obviously we can, I mean, historically, we've made some of those changes mid-year to begin with after we've been through the end of our budget cycle, finalizing the budget cycle to give us a better understanding of where we wind up. So I would agree with Commissioner Satterfield and the employees that are here. It's a commitment to revisit this as we move forward as well. And so this is a step in the right direction, but it's not complete. If that makes sense.
And I think I've asked Vicki this before. At what point in time do you know how the 2019 budget settled out? When will we have figures on that?
Well, we won't have final figures until the auditors have completed their audit, but we'll have
And when will?
usually in June. But
Okay.
we should have a pretty good idea by mid-March. So, I mean, unless they come in and do some kind of big adjustment, we should have a pretty good idea
By
mid-March.
mid-March.
I think it also buys us time. With it being an election year, just historically, you see some uncertainty and some not knowing where we're going from an economy standpoint. So that gets us 6 months into that and gives us a clearer vision of what our numbers are gonna look like for the collection standpoint as well through the year.
And, Mr. Chairman, Vicki, I guess one more question, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Get maker exercise.
But that's still our fund balance, that's still, we'll still be well over 18, closer to 19%.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
I gave you all a sheet that
Mhm.
shows you different scenarios if
Yeah,
this
right.
happens. This is where you end up. Let me know if you have any questions
you.
about it.
Thank you.
You know,
Other
I-
discussion?
You know, I'd like to say, I'm glad we can do this. I wish we could do more. You know, I wish we could go over 110%. But we've also got to be physically responsible as we can be. And I think the governor has even directed people to reduce their budget by 4% this year and then 6% next year. So you have to kind of temper and balance this stuff. Because we don't know what's gonna happen, and we appreciate your work. I mean, when I read these key indicator reports, there is a tremendous amount of work that goes on. It's unbelievable. And we want people compensated for it, but, you know, we're not printing money, so just be patient with us so we can kind of let things settle down, and, you know, my crystal ball's on the blink. So, just know that we appreciate you, but also we've got to temper it with the amount of money, so that's my spiel.
Well, it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yes.
I mean, it's putting us off of the bottom into the middle sector of
Yes.
competition that we're with for our employees at the moment. And as Commissioner Satterfield and Commissioner Gaines have both stated, we're gonna take another look at that in June at that 105% level, which would put us in that 70 to 75 percentile if we have the ability to do so. So it's a step in the right direction with a plan going forward, so that's
And I'd
well
say
worth it.
this board has made multiple steps, and I said it a minute ago, it's the first step in the right direction, but 2-3 years ago, we went through this exercise and increased, I think our budget was another $1 million at that time. So
217.
we've taken several steps in trying to stay ahead of the curve, and competition is fierce.
This will be the second salary study approved, if you approve this by this board.
Yeah.
We did it in 17, and then we're now doing it again in 20. Any other discussion?
I just want to thank staff's work too, Brad, Vicky, and her staff, and everybody putting, county manager, putting, you know, time and effort and getting the numbers real. We've crunched a lot of numbers in the last couple of weeks, and I just appreciate everybody doing that. Thank you.
And also I want to remind the employees as well, you know, we've been trying to look at several things and they're big ticket items, but, just all go back and just say, I've got really good health insurance. That's very important now. So please keep that in mind. You may not get the amount of money that you want, but a good insurance policy is money in your pocket. And if you don't believe it, try to go to the doctor.
Well, and, you know, to piggyback off what Commissioner Fawcett was saying, we're looking at 2 more items tonight, too, that
Yes.
are benefit to our employees. So, we said from the very beginning, when we started this whole process, that we would look at this in a holistic process, to where we looked at everything: benefits, insurance, salary, retirement, what was in our handbook, how could we make those improvements. And you will see as we work through tonight that we have done that, and that we do have the best interest of our employees in heart. Any other information? Hearing none, please vote.
Chairman, I think I need a second on that.
No, I didn't say.
Did we get a second?
Didn't. Chris second.
My apologies.
That's approved 3-0.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you for your
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
I know we called you a lot, and I don't know how you keep all those numbers right there,
I
but
don't.
you spit them out fast, though.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Also, under unfinished business, next up we have consideration of revised Dawson County Employee Handbook that was tabled from December 19th, 2019.
We need to make an amendment to the budget along with that line item. Correct? Vicki, is that correct? We need to amend the budget for that line item?
I would assume so.
Was it not provided? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not provided.
Right,
Or
or
in
it would need to be.
We moved out of contingency into salaries to be able to fund them.
Right,
Yes.
so we would need to be able to amend the budget by that $836,000.
So I'll take a motion.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we amend the current budget in the amount of $836,000 to be moved to salaries to implement the change tonight.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Sorry.
That's all.
Thank you.
That budget amendment is approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of revised Dawson County Employee Handbook tabled from December 19, 2019. That's been presented on a number of occasions. We've had a time to look through that and to weigh into that. Is there any other information needed?
The only thing that I would like to interject, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, is I sent out a suggested few revisions to the social media policy. They're very slight, and I can walk through those with you, but the gist of them is that under the policy as it was presented initially, there was an affirmative requirement to disclose the employee's relationship with Dawson County in their social media posts. Upon further reflection and some issues occurring with respect to social media posts and our employees, it was determined after talking to staff that we really felt like it would be better to not make that affirmative requirement, and in fact, it would be better for employees not to identify themselves and not hold themselves out as employees when they're posting on personal social media sites, lest that be perceived as the position of the county. And so the changes that have been made substantively reflect that concept. And that is in the social media policy at section 16. I can go into it in more detail if you wish, but there were 3 or 4 slight revisions to reflect that concept. So if this book otherwise meets with your approval, I would suggest that those changes be made. And then with those changes and anything else that you may alter tonight, we will need to go back through and just clean up the table of contents to make sure that pages didn't change if you alter anything else tonight. So that would be a next step to finalize the book. But you can certainly vote on it tonight and we will make those corrections for table of contents and page numbers and things like that. Administrative housekeeping, if you will, following your vote this evening once we know what you wish to be in the book. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other information needed?
I wanted to ask you, is the, what's the name, FMLA, the federal?
Family medical.
Yeah. You said that was mandatory?
Yes.
That is federal?
Not the new
Well,
piece.
so there's a new leave provision in here called paid family leave.
Okay.
That is the one that's not required. So
Okay.
under FMLA, Family Medical Leave
Yes.
Act, that's a federal law that's required, but it's not required to be paid, it's just required that we have to give the time off.
Okay.
And so this new provision, which is at section 14.11, would allow for payment up to 4 consecutive weeks at 60% of regular pay to full-time employees with respect to time off to care or to bond with a new child, whether it be through birth, adoption, or foster care placement. So that is new in this proposed handbook. It's not mandated by law, so that would be an additional benefit that you're not obligated to include.
Okay, if, this allowed 4 weeks in that FMLA, whatever, there's 12 weeks.
Yes.
Okay, but this means they can take 4 and then they can add 12 to it?
No, Commissioner, no, and that's a great question, and the policy could be anything we want, but the way that it's been written is that they would run concurrently.
Okay.
So we referenced it as a stacking prohibition, so that you can't take, and in fact, it goes further even with our FMLA to say, well, you can't take all your personal time, and then your FMLA time, and then your paid leave time, and instead of 12 weeks, you may end up being gone for 22 weeks or so, and that can be an incredibly burdensome situation for an organization if they lose someone for that long. So we do not allow that kind of stacking of any kind of leave you come up with.
Okay.
Instead, you get 12 weeks family medical leave, and unless there's some kind of accommodation that needs to be made because of a disability and there's some legal reason that there's an extension, it's 12 weeks. You have to use your paid leave during that time, and that would all run concurrently.
Does that law or act or whatever specify the 12 weeks?
Yes.
Or is that us?
No,
And
that's
It's
law.
federal.
Okay.
Just whether it's paid or not.
Specifies how you can take it, for what reasons you can take it for.
So this is not something that we worded or put in here. This is something that,
Not the FMLA.
the high, yeah, the higher ups.
We put the other piece in there.
So we have to have this.
Not the other piece.
Okay,
The second piece
not
we
the
did.
paid family
Right,
leave.
No, yeah.
Okay.
The paid family leave is a budget impacting
Yes,
addition,
that's-
whereas
yes.
FMLA is, that's what we've always had because of federal law, so
Yeah.
that's not a change.
And one of the things that we do offer our employees, we don't fund, we do offer our employees the ability to purchase short-term and long-term disability, which would give them 60% of their pay out during that 12-week FMLA had they purchased that option. Other information? Motion?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
What is the monetary impact? And I think Vicki has given us some numbers. If we did this paid family leave, was there like a $300,000 recurring cost?
No, that would
That was
have
the other.
been the
That was-
leave buyback.
Leave, oh, okay.
Buyback an hour, week's leave, the worst case scenario.
But that's part of this, is that, is
It's in there.
In there.
It's in the handbook, but it's a different issue.
Okay. Well, I had sticky notes everywhere, and somehow or another I've lost them. And this is pretty thick.
The paid family medical leave, it would be hard, my understanding, would be hard to come up with a number for that because
Yes.
you don't know who's gonna use it for whatever reason, so it's hard to
Just
put a,
figure every employee.
yeah, the maximum high water is if every employee took it, which would be.
There's really no way to realistically estimate that. I mean, you don't know.
And
who's
it's so
gonna have-
specific to every employee we use anyway, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
And
child.
so what?
It's specific to, you know, the delivery, the birth of a child.
Yes.
Or the
Bonding.
Adoption.
adoption of a
A
child,
foster kid.
which, you know, in itself singles out a, you know, maybe just a certain group and doesn't really, not a benefit for the entire employee.
I do, what you were asking about, I think you said the number 336, that's the leave buyback piece, that's the
Yeah.
budget impact on the
That
leave
would be an
buyback.
annual budget impact.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's part of this, is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
not?
It is.
It's part of this.
Not the paid, the paid family.
I know, but it's part of this.
Part of the
this
handbook. Yes, ma'am.
They could take up to
It is part of the handbook.
And those are the two budget impacting components of the changes that we've made.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or proposed.
Yeah.
Other information? Motions?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the handbook with the following exceptions. What the county attorney recommended as far as the social media policy, add that changes into the social media policies as written, as presented. The 4 weeks, extra weeks for family leave, take that out of the handbook. The buyback, I want the HR to bring that back to us in June to look at after we see the numbers. Let me see if we can implement that buyback. Other than that, as written.
I have a motion with 3 stipulations. Do I have a second?
Can we amend that motion to include, do we have to do a budget change? This comes out of contingency as well, correct?
There'll be no additional cost.
I didn't let him talk.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of another one.
I'll second.
Right, so motion by Commissioner Satterfield, seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
Let me ask you one thing.
Go ahead.
This buyback is being, well, it was being reinstated. How long has it been since they've had the buyback option? Does anybody know?
It went away several years ago. I can't remember.
So it's been a long, long time.
2005, 6.
Yeah, it's been gone a long time.
Okay. I just,
Chief Bailey, you know when it was taken out?
It was back in the day when.
see, I can't even remember it's been so long.
2005? 2005.
Johnny knows.
Johnny said 2005.
All right.
Can I ask one question just for
Yes, ma'am.
clarification so that I can make this for revisions and make sure I'm carrying out the will of that motion if it approves. I believe the buyback provision, and Dave just checked me on it, but I just want to make sure we're all saying the same thing. The buyback provision that was talking about being accepted is in section 14.3, and it says this: employees may receive a one-time payout of up to 40 PTO hours each calendar year for any unused PTO.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
And that's what he's talking about, paying
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
And look at that. We'll
Look at
revisit that in June.
6 months from now. All right, so we have a motion and a second with the 3 revision changes to the handbook. Any further discussion?
Did he say revise in June? Did you say
He
June?
did.
Bring it back.
Look at it.
We'll revisit.
Revisit.
Okay, okay.
Hearing none, please vote. That's approved, 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of the 2020 election qualifying fees for local officials. And we have to approve that via a resolution, which our clerk has given me, and I've got to figure out what I did. And amongst all these papers that I have. Okay. Must be in this file. You have another one over there?
I don't, but can you read it off?
I can't.
Let me have it right.
Okay. Resolution of the Board of Commissioners, Austin County, fixing the qualifying fees for county officers for 2020 election. Whereas OCGA 212-131 requires the county governing authority to fix and publish the qualifying fees for each county office to be filled in an upcoming election, and whereas the qualifying fee shall be 3% of the minimum salary for the offices of the clerk and superior court, judge of probate court, sheriff, tax commissioner, magistrate, and members of the county governing authority, exclusive of supplements, cost of living increases, and longevity increases, and whereas the qualifying fee shall be 3% of the total gross salary of the office paid in the preceding calendar year, including all supplements authorized by law if the office is a salaried office for other county offices. Now therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Dawson County hereby fixes the qualifying fees for the year 2020 election as follows: sheriff, qualifying fee, $1779.86; probate, $1491.65; tax commissioner, $1491.65; magistrate, $1491.65; county commissioner, $288; chairman, $360; county surveyor, $10; coroner, $108; Board of Education District 1, $99; Board of Education District 2, $99; Board of Education District 4, $99; Clerk of Court, $1491.65. This is the 16th day of January 2020. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Jones. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of defined benefit and defined contribution retirement benefit upgrades. We talked about that last month and on other occasions in reference to improving our retirement in order to help us retain our good employees. And so the other information needed on that. We're talking about defined benefit, and we're also talking about defined contribution. As you know, we have two different ones. The proposal was to raise the defined contribution to 5%. If the employee put in 5%, so it would be 5% if they put in 5%. And the defined benefit would go to the rule of 80, the minimum age of 55, and the employees would contribute to that, which they do not now, at a rate of 3%. Any other information needed in reference to that? The number that you were provided, a little bit more on the defined benefit, it covers all of our employees, those that have retired, those that are not drawing at this moment, those that are yet to retire. And you received legal documentation in reference to that as well. Any other information needed?
One of the things, Chairman, that I brought up in the past was the idea of a 3-year vesting period for new employees. That would be a step up. Year one, would be 33, 66, 99. So the way we are, or 100, yeah. The way we are right now is day one, or the probationary period, you're vested at 100%. Most current plans I've seen, in order to, and the same thing, I think for Sykes was a 5-year graduation period, but for vesting period. But this should promote longevity in order to encourage people to stay longer. They commit longer and get a higher percentage. Would not affect anybody that's already here. It would be just for new people new hires moving forward. If somebody was just hired last week, doesn't affect them. It would just be new people that would be hired moving forward from the date that we make a move if we decide to approve it. That would be a suggestion that I would have that would bring us in line to some of our neighbors as well as non-government benefit plans.
Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion to approve the defined benefits of retirement as presented by the chairman. And I think the rough amount, which I guess we got to do can I put the motion as far as an amendment to the budget?
Yes, you can.
Adjustment of the budget. And it roughly an amount of $85,000.
Now, let's clear it up here. Your defined benefit at the rule of 80,
Rule of 80.
minimum age of 55, including all employees, past and current,
Current.
and then a 1% increase to our current defined contribution. Are you gonna go with
And
this graduated step?
graduated step for new hires.
Okay. And taking that out of the budget and portion with the budget,
Right, adjustment budget.
adjust the budget. All right, from contingency to adjust the budget.
Yes, sir.
Is that the 85,000?
That's at the top. I mean, I think it's a rough estimate.
Okay.
It's from 80 to 85.
Right, so we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Satterfield, seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-0. Right, next up, we have RFP 360-19 legal services. We had a recommendation at our 4 o'clock meeting for Gerard and Davis. That was the 1 year with 4 1-year renewals. Any other information needed? Motion.
I make a motion that we approve the staff recommendations to move forward with a contract with Gerard and Davis.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Anyone sign up for public comment in this section? Thank you for your attendance. We are adjourned.